The Black Phone 2. So this is a movie that I was not very excited about because I don't really care for the Black Phone. It is a perfectly fine, mediocre horror movie. In fact, after making my video on the Black Phone, I actually just went and got rid of my copy. And after watching this movie, kind of regret that because I actually really fucking like the sequel, shockingly. But I do want to rant about something. So while I was watching this movie, there was this couple that kept yelling during the movie and kept being loud as fuck and talking. And they kept yelling, and then at one point they got like really loud and they got up to leave and they were yelling at someone from the stairs to come down the stairs. And you're sitting there going, and they're getting to the end. It's an emotional part of the movie. I won't spoil the emotion of it, but there's like a character crying. They're all upset. Very important narrative telling detail of the movie. And they're crying. They're all upset. And they're kind of laughing at it. Which, first of all, I will say, if a movie is not great and you find it funny, it is not. It is actually rude to laugh in the theater. And if you're going to do that, move to a spot in the theater where there aren't people around you. But she knew I was there. I kept looking at her, and she kept laughing ridiculously loud at this part of the movie. And then by the end, at a certain point, she's like, "I'm fucking done with the movie." Called her buddy from upstairs or her group, and then they started walking out of the theater before the credits were even rolling, and the movie was still playing, and there were people in front of them. What the fuck, lady? I don't know if they were drunk or what, but yeah, horror movies. I've just noticed lately, I get some of the worst fucking people I see in the theater, and I don't know why um, they're like this, but it just happens this way. I get so fucking tired of it. I hate watching horror movies with an audience because there's some fun of like seeing an audience gasp or get in suspense, but at the same time, it's almost worthless at some point because my theater does a pretty good job of making IDs, make sure they check IDs for kids that are underage. But you get kids that still sneak in, all this bullshit, and this whole thing. It's fucking irritating. I hate it. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, back to the movie. Yeah, I actually really like this movie. I will say it wasn't great. Um, let's just get away with the main problem of this movie. The main problem with this movie is that it's just kind of too similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, like a lot of it, to the point where sometimes it did feel like, man, are you just a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff? I don't think it is, obviously, but it did feel like that at a couple points in the movie because I'm just like, But yeah, so now let's get into the positives. One of the main positives is this movie's very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, you're gonna deal with that or you're not. What's great, I think this movie was actually better acted than the first movie. The first one didn't really have bad acting, but this one felt like it was a lot more focused. The performances here, they were very solid, and you really bought the sibling dynamic here in this one. But they're also dealing with but also what's kind of beautiful about this movie and the new Conjuring movie, I guess, is both these movies are about dealing with personal trauma and demons, and that being in a horror movie is such an interesting theme. But this one deals with like family drama in a different way than that movie, and the way it all plays out was actually very powerful and emotional, I thought. And the grabber being the way they play with the dreams and stuff, and the way that they shoot them away to give them their own visual style, the different dreams, the dream world, so you always know when it's the dream world and when it's not. It's really good stuff. So I thought this movie really worked, and despite it being very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, I think it did enough to do its own thing. It just felt like a little too close at certain points. But it's kind of hard not to make those comparisons, so it's not a big negative, it's just a minor negative. Like, honestly, this movie is still a pretty solid 7 out of 10 horror movie about, Black Phone stuff. So, honestly, this movie made me excited to see where this franchise is going to go, but also not, just because this movie, kind of like The Last Conjuring, kind of felt like a great bookend to these characters. Because this is a movie that, like, if you saw the first one, the robber dies, and so you're like, why are we getting a sequel? But then, once you actually see the sequel, it does some things, and I think it all really works. But I understand if you are not here for it, like I am. Because I know there's a lot of people are like, I really love the first one, and I didn't really like this one. Which I'm kind of shocked about, because I think this is the better movie, undefinitively. Like, I don't know what the fuck some of these people are smoking, because that first movie was very mediocre. But some people seem to really fucking like that movie, which I do not get.